Life of Muhammad 1. Abraham leaves his family in the desert.
Why are you leaving us alone in this empty desert, O Abraham? Is it because God commanded you?
Yes.
Then he will not leave us.
Abraham was sad. He walked away in the distance.
O God, I have left my family in this empty desert land, near your holy house, so they build prayer especially for you, my God. Make people's hearts rush towards them, and provide them fruits, so maybe they will be thankful. Make this land a city of peace and safety. And send to them a messenger who will read your words to them, who will purify them, and he will teach them your law and the wisdom. Quran 2:126.
Life of Muhammad 2. The city of Mecca begins.
Don't cry, baby Ismail, I will find some water for you.
She ran 7 times between the mountains of Safa and Marwa.
God help us.
The baby kicked the ground while crying, and suddenly a gush of water came out of the earth. She rushed to the water and made a small well with her hands to hold the water.
Zam Zam. Stop, stop.
She said to the water. She drank some water and fed her baby too. Her prayer was answered. There was a sound of birds above. They came down to drink some of the Zam Zam water too. Some desert travelers were walking in the distance.
Oh look. There's some birds flying there. They must have found some water.
These Arabs settled near the well of Zam Zam. And this town eventually grew into a city called Mecca, meaning the crowded city. Life of Muhammad 3. Idol worship begins in Mecca. The city of Mecca grew and Abraham returned and built the Kaaba with Ishmael to fulfill the prayer he had made earlier of his children settling here to pray to the one God. Ishmael was a hunter and the Arabs with him would begin trade. So Mecca became a trade city. But time passed and many generations later, a man called Ammar bin Luhay from Makkah went to Syria to do trade. The people there had idols. What are they? He asked. When we pray to them, they give us rain. Ammar liked this business opportunity. So he brought some idols back to Mecca. Whoever respects me will follow me and pray to these for rain. Then we will get even richer, Ammar said. Ammar had a lot of authority and respect in Mecca, so he placed the idol next to the Kaaba and the people of his tribe began to follow him. So this is how Arabs started idol worship in Arabia, next to the Kaaba. The house of worship made by Abraham to thank the one God was now changed into a place to worship idols. This idol worship idea would now make money for the rich because people would pay to make wishes to them and would buy many idols to take home. Life of Muhammad 4. The year of the elephant. A few hundred years later.
Army of elephants is coming to destroy the Kaaba. An army of elephants is coming to destroy the Kaaba.
The people in Mecca began running to the mountains.
O God of the Kaaba, protect your holy house.
Suddenly, flocks and flocks of birds came flying, covering the entire sky, dropping small stones at the army of elephants. The army of elephants were defeated, their king now dead. He was unable to destroy the Kaaba. The people of Mecca are God's chosen people. People shouted. As they came down the mountains and returned back to the city. It was this eventful year that Muhammad would be born. Life of Muhammad 5. Muhammad is born.
Name the child in your womb Muhammad, meaning the praised one, because he will be praised in the heavens and the earth.
Amina suddenly woke up.
I keep having dreams like this.
She exclaimed to her husband's father.
This child you are going to have is going to be someone special,
Replied Abdul Muttalib.
If only his father could have seen him.
Amina cried. The father of Muhammad had died a few months ago at a business trip in Syria. Muhammad was born in Mecca as an orphan, 500 years after Jesus. Muhammad was from the children of Ishmael, son of Abraham. Amina went to visit her relatives in a city called Yathrib with her son Muhammad. On their way back home to Mecca, his mother Amina got a fever. She became so ill that she too died. Muhammad, now only 6 years old, returned back to Mecca with his mother's servant called Barakah, meaning blessing. He now had no father nor mother. His grandfather Abdul Muttalib, the leader of Mecca, now kept him close. He would only let Muhammad sit next to him near the Kaaba. Muhammad was a strong young boy and his grandfather had a lot of hope in him being the future leader of the people of Mecca. But his grandfather too soon died when Muhammad was only 10 years old. Abu Talib, the son of Abdul Muttalib, would now look after the orphan boy Muhammad. Muhammad the shepherd. Abu Talib was not a rich man and 10 years old Muhammad knew this. He felt indebted to his uncle, so he would look after people's sheep for a few coins. He would sit down and see how each sheep was different. Some sheep were calm in character, others were not, some followed the crowd, others were leaders. Some left the crowd of sheep, while others remained. Each sheep was different, just like every human is different. When it was dinner time, Abu Talib, the uncle of Muhammad, would tell his family to wait for Muhammad before they ate food together. Because when Muhammad ate with them, they felt they ate to their full. But when Muhammad was not there, everyone still felt hungry after the food had finished. Muhammad was a blessed child because he brought good with him wherever he would go. Life of Muhammad. 6. Muhammad a teenager. As he became a teenager, Muhammad would start to go on business trips with his uncles. He would watch how people buy and sell. The Arabs' most expensive product which they sold was the leather from their camels. They brought back foods like raisins, nuts, clothes and more animals from neighboring countries like Syria and Yemen. The tribe of Muhammad, the Quraysh tribe, was rich because they earned a lot of money when people visited the Kaaba. With this money they brought more luxuries from abroad which they brought back to Mecca to sell to other Arab tribes. Khadija. When Muhammad was in his early 20s, he became experienced in more trade and his reputation as a businessman increased. A woman from the Quraysh tribe, the same tribe as Muhammad, called Khadija, wanted an honest man to do trade for her. She did not trust a lot of men because they would steal from her money when she sent them to do trade for her. Others would propose marriage to her because she was so beautiful and rich at the same time. She heard about Muhammad, the honest man from Quraysh who was going to travel to Syria to do trade. Maybe she could ask him to work for her. So Khadija sent her servant called Massara to ask Muhammad to sell her products. Massara's other job would be to keep a close eye on Muhammad to see if he would be honest or if he would cheat like the other businessmen Khadija had sent before. As Muhammad, Massara and the business caravan of Quraysh traveled to Syria, Massara saw something interesting. He saw that a gentle cloud was always in the sky above Muhammad, shading him wherever he went. This amazed Massara. While the other men were exhausted traveling in the heat of the desert, Muhammad was comfortable and at ease. When they reached the markets in Syria, Massara watched how Muhammad was honest in his selling and buying. He said,
Muhammad sold everything he had. And with that money, he brought more things which he later sold in Mecca. So he got double the profit.
The description of Muhammad amazed Khadija. A noble, handsome, and honest businessman who never cheated and was not greedy. This is the type of man she wanted to marry. Khadija told her servant Nafisa to go to the house of Muhammad to ask him if he would be interested in the idea of marriage.
What is it that prevents you from getting married?
Asked Nafisa.
I have nothing in my hands with which I can afford the expenses of a wedding.
Replied Muhammad.
But if that difficulty is removed, and you are invited to marry a beautiful and wealthy lady, of noble birth, who would place you in affluence, would you not desire to have her?
And who might that be?
Said Muhammad.
It is Khadija.
But how can I have access to her?
I will tell her.
The mind of Muhammad, peace be upon him, was made up and he answered.
I accept the proposal.
Nafisa returned and told Khadija the whole story. When Khadija heard the response, she was so excited. She sent a message to Muhammad's uncle Abu Talib to arrange a fixed date and time for the marriage. Life of Muhammad. 7. Muhammad, the respected young man. The flood had entered the city of Mecca and the Kaaba had been damaged. The people came together to fix it and as they finished rebuilding it, a cornerstone called the Black Stone needed to be placed down to complete its structure. All the men started arguing and said their tribe should put down the final black stone, it was a matter of respect for them. They were arguing, some about to take their swords out. Until a wise man said, the next man who comes inside through the gates will decide. The people agreed. Next morning Muhammad, peace be upon him, was the first to enter the sanctuary. He was now about 35 years old. When the other people appeared on the scene he was already there. El-Amin, the trustworthy, has come. They said happily. We are satisfied to follow his decision.
The trustworthy one has come. We are happy to follow his decision.
Calm and confident, Muhammad had an idea to unite the tribes. He spread a cloth on the floor and put the stone in the center. Then he told each tribe to hold each corner of the cloth and to lift it. When they raised a cloth from each side, he picked up the black stone and put it in its place. All the tribes were happy that they had been part of this and they were happy with Muhammad for the decision he had made. Life of Muhammad. 8. Muhammad, the man. By the age of 40, Muhammad was now a successful businessman. He had a loving wife and 6 children. His tribe members loved him and they hoped he would be their future leader because he was respected, eloquent and handsome. But Muhammad lived a modest life and he had higher aspirations. He used to wonder, what is the purpose of life? Muhammad looked around the city of Mecca and he saw a lot of corruption in society. The leaders of his tribe would sell idols which people bowed to and made wishes to when those idols were made with their own hands. He knew this was a trick by the elite of his tribe to get money from those who didn't know. He knew this was not the religion of his forefather Abraham. He saw how the people in society aborted baby girls, how racism was widespread, and the poor were treated as worthless because they had no money, while the rich ruled with freedom to do whatever they wished. Muhammad took part in charity work and often stood up for the weak in society. But he knew these small acts of good were not sufficient to make major change. Everyone was lost and no one knew the right path to follow for real success. He himself didn't know. So he separated himself from all this noise and went to a cave called Hira in Mecca. What are we doing in this world? Why are we here? Where are we going? He would meditate here and try to pray like he imagined his forefather Abraham prayed. He prayed to the one God who made everything, wishing for guidance. In the Bible, Book of Isaiah 29:12 it is written, "The book will be given to the one who is illiterate, saying, read this. And he will say, I cannot read." Muhammad could not read or write. He was a shepherd in his childhood, then a businessman as he got older, but like most of the Arabs, he never was taught how to read or write. One peaceful night, he was praying to God for guidance in the cave of Hira when all of a sudden he heard a voice say to him, "Iqra. Read." Muhammad was shocked but bravely replied, "I cannot read." The voice again said read. He again replied, "I cannot read." Then it came close to him and hugged him tightly from his back till he could not breathe. Then the voice said read. "With the name of your maker, who created man from a clot of blood. Read. And your maker is the most generous. The one who taught man with a pen, taught him what he did not know." Quran chapter 96. Muhammad was shocked. He ran down the mountain. But he saw a huge glowing angel in the sky. "I am Gabriel, and you are the messenger of God. I am Gabriel, and you are the messenger of God." Muhammad ran back home and said to his wife Khadija,
Put a blanket on me, cover me. I am afraid and fear for myself.
Don't be afraid, no harm can come to you. Because you look after the orphan, the poor and the homeless. We will go to my cousin Waraka tomorrow, and he will tell us about this.
Waraka was now an old man. He had spent all his youth seeking the awaited last messenger of God. He had studied all the prophecies of the Bible deeply. The next morning, Khadija and Muhammad went to Waraka's house and told him everything that had occurred the previous night. Waraka was amazed. "It is the same angel who came to Moses." Waraka said, "I wish I could support you when your people will expel you from this city of yours." Muhammad was shocked. "They will expel me from this city?" he asked. Waraka replied, "Yes." Muhammad was shocked why his people would expel him from the city of Mecca when he knew they loved and respected him so much. Life of Muhammad. 9. Muhammad the Prophet. Muhammad was now a prophet. A prophet is someone who God gives quick, secret messages to which he has to share with his people. Knowledge which could not be known to humans. From now on, Prophet Muhammad would get messages from an angel who would give him perfect guidance from God. You might wonder, was it really an angel? By studying the message, mission and achievements given to Muhammad, we will find out. O you covered in his blanket. Stand up and warn. Purify your clothes. And glorify your maker. And the idols, abandon them. Quran chapter 74. After being a prophet who God sent messages to. Now Muhammad would become a level higher than that. A messenger of God. A messenger of God had the duty of sharing the message of God to his people. The message was to remain pure, to praise God, and to abandon all idols. And the devils did not send this down to you, O Muhammad, it would not suit them, and nor are they able to produce something like it. They have been forced far away from hearing it. So do not pray to anyone other than God, otherwise, you will be from those who are punished. And warn your near relatives. And be humble to those who follow you from the believers. Quran 26:210. Muhammad would now have to share the message with his near relatives who did worship idols. Life of Muhammad. 10. I am God's messenger. Sharing the message publicly. So share publicly with the people what you have been commanded and turn away from the idol worshippers. Quran 1594. Prophet Muhammad would now have to share the message out loud, in public. He knew the people would not rush to accept it, just like his relatives did not. But it was a duty given to him from God. He had begged God for guidance before. Now he had received it, he could not ignore it. That would be ingratitude to God, which is the essence of disbelief. So Prophet Muhammad climbed the mountain of Safa, the same mountain his great-grandmother Hajar had climbed when seeking water for her baby Ishmael. He called out loud. Wa Sabahi, meaning, an emergency. Come here people. The people near the Kaaba rushed to him, wondering what danger was coming. Prophet Muhammad said to them, "If I were to inform you about something, do you trust me?" And they said, "We know nothing but good from you, you are the son of our brother. Have you ever heard any lie from me? We have heard nothing but good. You are the honest, Al-Amin." And then the Prophet said, "If I were to tell you that there is an army coming to attack from behind this mountain, would you believe me?" And they said, "Yes, we never heard you ever say a lie." So God's messenger said, O people, you will certainly die, like you sleep. And you will certainly come to life again on judgment day like you wake. O people, know that I am a warner sent by Allah to proclaim the coming of a severe punishment on the day of judgment unless you turn to Allah and leave your idol worship. O my people, save yourselves from the fire of hell, I will not be able to help you against Allah's punishment. The people stood there, not knowing what to say. Then Abu Lahab, an uncle of God's messenger replied. May you be cursed, O Muhammad. Is this why you called us here? The people saw that Prophet Muhammad's own uncle turned against him, so they too turned away and went back to their daily businesses. Prophet Muhammad and his small group of followers would now begin sharing the message of purity, praising the one God and avoiding idols with the rest of the people in the streets of Mecca. Life of Muhammad. 11. Say there is no God but Allah, and you will rule the Arabs and the non-Arabs. Muhammad begins the call in the streets of Mecca. A companion of Prophet Muhammad says, I saw the messenger of Allah say, in the early days of Mecca. Say there is no God but Allah, and you will be successful. Say there is no God but Allah, and you will rule over the Arabs and the non-Arabs. Allah is the Arabic word for God. Jesus called God Allah in Aramaic, and Moses called God Elohim in Hebrew. Allah is the maker and designer of everything. Allah is the creator of everything, and He is the one who looks after all things. Quran 39:62. Are they staring, waiting for Allah to come and appear to them in the shadows of the clouds, and the angels too? If that happened, judgment day would have already begun. And to Allah, to God returns all matters for decision. Quran 2:210. The test of life is. So Allah, God will know who of you aided Allah and His messengers, whilst He is unseen. Quran 57:25. The people who accepted the message were the poor and the weak. And the biggest enemies to the message were the rich and powerful. Those who believed would meet in a small house called Dar al-Arqam. In this house, they would come together and ask each other if Prophet Muhammad had got any new messages from God. The messages of God, called the Quran, meaning. The speech which is read out loud, would be shared with each other, memorized and then shared to others in the streets. Allah would send messages of positivity to encourage His messenger and the believers. I promise by the morning glow of the sunlight, and by the night when it is still and quiet. Your Lord did not abandon you, and He does not hate you. And what will come later will be better for you than what has happened before. And your Maker will give to you, so you are satisfied. Didn't He find you an orphan, and He gave you shelter? And He found you seeking the truth, and He guided you? And He found you poor and made you rich? So do not ever be harsh with an orphan, and never show anger to a beggar. But the favors of your Maker, tell people about them. Quran chapter 93. The morning sunlight.
فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث.
Life of Muhammad. 12. Accusations. And an offer you can't refuse. Before them, the people of no lied against the message, and those after them did also. Every nation tried to trick their messenger. And they used falsehood to argue against the truth, so I got hold of them. And how severe was my punishment. Quran 45. The elite of Mecca realized that Prophet Muhammad and his followers had started to grow in number, and they spoke out loud against the corruption of the elite. So the rich and powerful had to find a way to stop the spread of the message. They could not argue against the message because it was so eloquent and pure. So they decided the best thing to say was that Muhammad is a crazy madman who thinks God is talking to him, and he is causing trouble in society by trying to be a leader and uniting the poor under him. The elite felt this would discourage people to come close to him to hear the message. And anyone who does listen to him can also be called a crazy fanatic. But these accusations did not stop the followers of Muhammad. They continued to share it with their relatives, friends and society. The believers were growing, but many kept their faith secret out of fear of being labeled crazy or fanatics. Meanwhile, God's messenger Muhammad would speak directly to the elite of Quraysh. He would speak the Quran to them, and they would insult him and make fun of him. But deep down inside, they were amazed by this beautiful type of speech they had never heard of before. However, they were afraid. If they accepted this message, they would have to accept they are equals and brothers to the poor of society. They would have to stop selling idols and stop their extravagant and sinful lifestyles. So they decided to approach Muhammad and give him an offer he could not refuse. Utbah bin Rabi'ah came to Prophet Muhammad and said, "If you want money, we will collect enough money for you so that you will be the richest one of us. If you want leadership, we will take you as our leader and never decide on any matter without your approval. If you want a kingdom, we will crown you king over us. If you want women, we will marry you to the most beautiful women in Mecca. And if you have a mental health problem, we will treat you with the best doctors." Only one concession was required from Muhammad in return for that, to give up calling people to Islam, meaning, submission to God and worshipping God alone without any partner. But God's messenger replied, "Are you finished?" Utbah said yes. So the prophet read to him chapter 41 of the Quran. A message sent down from God, the most gracious, the most merciful, a book whose verses are explained in detail, a Quran in Arabic for people who know. Giving good news and warning, yet most of them turn away, so they do not listen. Quran 41:2.
بشيرا ونذيرا فأعرض أكثرهم فهم لا يسمعون.
Life of Muhammad 13. Torture begins. Do the people think they will simply say we believe and they will not be tested? I certainly tested those before them, and I will certainly make known those who are truthful and those who are liars. Do those who do evil think they will race ahead of me? Evil is what they judge. Whoever hopes for the meeting with his maker, then it is really coming. And he is the hearer, all-knower. Quran 29:2. Prophet Muhammad spent his time doing one of two things in Mecca. He was either sharing the message of God to the people, or he was praying to God next to the Kaaba. A man from the elite of Quraysh named Abu Jahl felt angry. Why was Muhammad confident enough to pray here, in front of everyone, in public? One day when Prophet Muhammad was praying, he prostrated to God by putting his forehead on the ground. This act shows total humility and obedience to God. One of the elite of Mecca dared another to go to the garbage area of the city and pick up the intestines of a dead camel. The man then carried them towards the Kaaba and threw them on the back of Prophet Muhammad between his shoulders. The Prophet could not get up from prayer due to the heaviness on his back. The elite of Quraysh started to laugh and fall on top of each other. No believer was strong enough to do anything. So a believer ran to the house of Prophet Muhammad, and the 8-year-old daughter of the Prophet called Fatima came crying and removed the filth from the back of her father. In another time, the Prophet was praying and Abu Jahl got a cloth and tied it around the neck of the Prophet till he was about to choke to death. His friend Abu Bakr came and pulled Abu Jahl away. The Prophet then stood up and said 3 times, "O Allah, punish the Quraysh." Every single one of these men would die in a battle in the future. Bilal, the one who frustrated the elite. Bilal, a black African slave belonging to an elite from Quraysh, was put on the hot desert sand. A boulder was put on his chest. "Where is your God now?" he asked Bilal. "Ahad and Ahad," meaning one and only one, shouted Bilal. Bilal followed Prophet Muhammad. He believed that God's words were true. And he rejected the idols and false gods. So he was tortured by the Quraysh to deter others from following Muhammad. But Bilal would not listen to them. "One God, only one," he would answer. A rope was placed on his neck and he would be dragged across the streets of Mecca and people would laugh at him. The believers were only a few, but they did not know how to stop this evil. Abu Bakr, the best friend of Prophet Muhammad, was a rich businessman who felt saddened by the torture he saw all around him. Abu Bakr said to the Quraysh man that he would pay him many gold coins to buy Bilal. The man accepted the payment out of greed, then Abu Bakr hugged Bilal and told him that he is now free. Many weak followers of Prophet Muhammad were imprisoned, hung on crosses and whipped, tortured and burned, and some even killed. Those who tempt and torture the believing men and women, and they do not seek God's forgiveness, especially for them, is the punishment of the torture chamber of hell, and especially for them is the punishment of burning. But those who believe and do good is the reward of the gardens under which rivers flow, that is the supreme success. Quran 85:11. Life of Muhammad 14. Migration to Ethiopia. Say to them, O Muhammad, O my servants, obey your maker. Those of you who do good will really get good in this world. And the earth of God is really spacious. Quran 39:10. God's messenger told the believers that God's earth is spacious, so they should leave Mecca and go to another country where there is a just and fair king called the Negus. So, many of his companions left their homes in the darkness of the night and quietly left Mecca to go to Ethiopia because they could have freedom to pray to Allah there without being tortured for their beliefs. When they reached Ethiopia, the African king accepted them generously. But the elite of Mecca were not happy about this, so they sent one of their best politicians called Amr ibn al-As with gifts and asked the king to return the troublemakers back to Mecca. "They are not following your religion of Christianity, nor our religion," said Amr. "Then what are they following?" said Negus, the king. A cousin of Prophet Muhammad called Jafar replied back with a beautiful speech. He said, "Your Highness, we used to be a nation steeped in ignorance, and we would worship idols, and we would eat dead meat, and we would perform shameful acts. And we would break the family ties and treat our neighbors in contempt. The strong amongst us would eat up and devour the weak, and we remained in this state until God sent a messenger to us. This messenger was known to us, he is from our community, we know his house and his lineage, and we know his truthfulness, and he never spoke one lie in his life. He invited us to believe in one God alone and to leave idol worship, and he told us to abandon the ways of our forefathers and to leave the worship of stones and statues, and he commanded us to be true when we speak and to fulfill our promises and to strengthen the family ties. He told us to be good to our neighbors, and he commanded us to avoid all evils. He told us to not spill blood, to give true testimony. He forbade us from eating the property of orphans. He forbade us from accusing others of adultery, and he commanded us to worship Allah, worship God alone, without associating any equals with him. He told us to pray, so we believed in him, and we had faith in him. And we worshipped Allah alone, and we gave up worshipping idols, and we forbade upon ourselves everything that he forbade upon us, and we make permissible all that he allowed for us. But our people opposed us, and they showed hatred towards us, and they tortured us, and they punished us, and they tried to force us back into idol worship, and they were unjust to us, and they made life miserable. And they prevented us from being who we were. So when they did this, we emigrated to your land, and we chose you above all other rulers, and we wished to come under your generosity and hospitality, and we put our trust in you that we would not be shown injustice in your land, O exalted highness. The Negus then asked the Muslims, do you have any message from God? Ja'far said, yes I do, and so Ja'far recited chapter 19 of the Quran called chapter Mary, the one that talks about the Virgin Mary and Jesus' miraculous birth and how he spoke when he was a baby. Negus began to cry. And he said, I swear by God, this message and the messages of Moses and Jesus have come from the same water fountain. And he said to Amr ibn al-As, go away from me. I will never hand these people to you and don't even think about it. Back in Mecca, God's messenger however was commanded to remain in Mecca, to continue sharing the message to whoever it was destined to reach. Many tribe leaders from other towns would come to Mecca for trade, they would out of curiosity approach Prophet Muhammad and become Muslims, meaning those who submit to God. He told them to share the Quran message with their people. So they would memorize a few chapters from the Quran from God's messenger and go back to their people sharing it with them. Many years later these people would return with their entire tribe being Muslims. However, God's messenger was commanded by God to remain in Mecca because every messenger of God is sent to the most powerful city and its most influential people. However, the elite Quraysh still refused. They said to the Prophet they would become believers if he separated himself from the poor and weak of society. Because it was too embarrassing for them to sit with the poor. However, God said to his Prophet to tell the elite, O my people, I do not ask you for payment for this message, my reward is only with God. And I am not going to push away those who have already believed. They are going to meet their maker, but I see that you are the ones who are ignorant. Quran 11:29. The Quraysh elite were now frustrated. Prophet Muhammad would not stop spreading this message, he would not accept their bribes or threats, so they ignored him. So God's messenger was allowed to go to the city next to Mecca called Taa'if and share the message with them. Life of Muhammad 15. Inviting the three chiefs in. Taa'if. The elite Quraysh of Mecca had rejected him, so Muhammad God's messenger set off to the next major city called Taa'if. The tribe in Taa'if was rivals to the elite of Mecca. 3 brothers ruled it, and God's messenger invited them to serve the one God and accept the messages of Islam. But all 3 rejected in the most sarcastic ways. One said, if God has sent you as a prophet, I might as well tear down the curtains of the Kaaba, in remorse. The second said, has Allah not found anyone better than you? The third said, I cannot speak to you, because if you really are a prophet, then you are too holy for me. And if you are a liar then you are too beneath my dignity that I respond to you. So all 3 of them mocked him, so the prophet left. As he left, the leaders sent the children and slaves to throw stones on the messenger of God. The distance was a half an hour walk. His legs were bleeding, and his sandals were stuck to his feet by his blood. And he was saying, O God, forgive them, because they don't know. He reached a garden and sat down to rest. Some people from his tribe of Quraysh owned this garden, and they felt sorry that the people of Taa'if had done this to him. So they sent one of their servants called Adis to give him some grapes. So the prophet accepted the gift of grapes and said, Bismillah, with the name of Allah, and began eating. Adis was shocked and said, what is this phrase? This is not the phrase of the local Arabs. And so the prophet said, this is something my Lord has taught me. And where are you from, O Adis? Adis said, I am from Nineveh. So the prophet smiled and said, Yunus bin Matta, meaning Prophet Jonah the son of Matthew. Adis was shocked and said, how did you know Jonah the son of Matthew? Nobody in this whole land has ever heard of him at all. The prophet said, how do I not know Jonah? He is my brother, and I am his brother. We are both prophets of God. And so Adis instantly began kissing the feet of the prophet as the Christians did out of respect like they did with their elders and priests. And he believed in the prophet right then and there. The 2 men of Quraysh stood in shock, so when Adis came back they said to him, why are you kissing his hands and feet? Adis said, O my masters, there is no one on earth better than him, since he is a prophet as he told me things only a prophet could know. The men said, "O Adiz, he has bewitched you, as your religion is better than his." But Adiz ignored them and remained a true believer all his life. On the way back to Mecca, an angel came to Prophet Muhammad and said that he could crush the people of Taa'if between two mountains for harming God's messenger. But he replied, "No, maybe God will guide their children in the future to serve the one God without making any equals to him." And this would happen later on within his life, some years later. Life of Muhammad. 16. Traveling to Jerusalem at the speed of light. The year of sadness. Prophet Muhammad quietly returned back to Mecca, but news reached to the elite that he had returned and been rejected. They would laugh at him because they knew he was running out of safe places to be. It was this year in which his closest loved ones died. Khadija, his wife who believed in him and supported him from the beginning, died. His uncle, Abu Talib, who had looked after him and supported him since childhood, also died. He now had no emotional or political supporter left. He only had about 50 believers behind him, and most of them had no influence in society. Prophet Muhammad himself called this year of his life the year of sadness. This is the year in which God would give his prophet an experience out of this world, to make him more certain in his faith and to strengthen his heart. The night journey. The messenger of God says, "During the night, while I was sleeping near the Kaaba, angel Gabriel came to me. And he opened up my chest. And he brought a bowl made out of gold that was full of Zamzam water and washed my heart with faith. Then angel Gabriel brought me an animal. It was smaller than a mule and larger than a donkey. Pure white. And it was called the Buraq. This comes from the root word bark, meaning lightning, and it puts its hoof as far as the eye can see. I rode it, and it took me until we reached Jerusalem. I tied the Buraq riding animal to the animal post that is used by the prophets of the past. I went inside and prayed 2 units of prayer. I saw myself with the other prophets. And there was Moses praying, and he was a tall, strong, and muscular man of a brownish color. And I saw Jesus, son of Mary, standing and praying. He was whitish in color. His hair glistened with water, as if he had come out of a steam bath, and he is a rather short man compared to Moses. And then I saw Abraham standing and praying, and the one who resembles him the most is your own companion, meaning the Prophet Muhammad himself. And then it came the time for congregational prayer, and I was put as the imam, prayer leader, of them. All 124,000 prophets were in their spirit form, in one long row behind Prophet Muhammad in Jerusalem. And he was their imam, prayer leader. Then the Prophet Muhammad said after he finished, Angel Gabriel, presented 2 cups. One of them is milk, the other is wine. Choose, and choose for your nation. The choice's outcome will affect not just the Prophet, but also his nation. The Prophet chose the milk, and Angel Gabriel said, "You have chosen the pure and natural one, the one which humans are by nature inclined to when they are born." Then the Prophet says, Angel Gabriel asked permission for the door of the sky heaven to open. The gatekeeper angel asked, "Who is it?" "It is Gabriel." "Do you have anyone with you?" "Yes, I have with me Muhammad. Has he been sent for? Does he have permission to pass?" "Yes." And then the door opened up. And for every single one of the 7 heavens, this exact same conversation happened with each of the gatekeepers. In the first heaven, there was a man standing. The Prophet described him as being tall and huge. Angel Gabriel said, "This is your father, Adam, so greet him with salam, peace." So the Prophet Muhammad did so, and Adam responded, "Welcome, O noble son, and O noble Prophet." The Prophet saw many people surrounding Adam. On the right side was one group, on the left side another group. And when Adam saw the people to the right, he was happy, and when he saw those on the left, he began to cry. The Prophet asked Gabriel about this. And Gabriel replied, "These are all of the children of Adam. The people on the right are the people of paradise, and the people on the left are the people of hellfire." In the second heaven, there was Yahya, John the Baptist, and Jesus, son of Mary. And he was told, "This is John the Baptist and Jesus, say salam, peace, to them." So the Prophet did so, and they said, "Welcome, O noble brother, and O noble Prophet." In the third heaven, there was Yusuf, Prophet Joseph, and it was the same dialogue. And the Prophet Muhammad said, "I saw Yusuf, Joseph, and lo and behold, it was as if he had been given half of all beauty." In the fourth heaven, there was Idris, Prophet Enoch, who also said, "Welcome, O noble brother, and O noble Prophet." In the fifth heaven, there was Haran, Prophet Aaron, and the same things are said. In the sixth heaven, there was Prophet Moses, and the same things are said. When the Prophet Muhammad went up, Moses began to cry. He was asked, "Why are you crying?" Moses said, "I am crying, because this young man Muhammad, who was sent after me, shall have a larger following, that will enter paradise than my own nation." In the seventh heaven, the Prophet Muhammad said, "I saw Abraham, and he was sitting with his back leaning on Al-Bayt al-Mamar, a Kaaba in the sky for angels. Angel Gabriel said to me, 'This is your father.' Abraham said, 'Say salam, peace, to him.' So the prophet did so, and Abraham responded, "Welcome, O noble son, and O noble prophet." Then the prophet Muhammad went above the seventh heaven, with angel Gabriel towards a tree whose leaves were huge, and its colors were undescribable. This tree is called Sidrat al-Muntaha, meaning, the low tree which you have to stop at. The mighty angel Gabriel, the leader of all angels, said to Prophet Muhammad that he could not pass this tree. And if he did, he would be burned up entirely. And Prophet Muhammad would now have to pass beyond it by himself. When Prophet Muhammad passed it, he came in the presence of Allah, God Almighty himself. Allah, God himself, spoke directly to his servant and messenger Muhammad and said to him many things. He told him that his followers would have to pray 50 prayers a day. When Prophet Muhammad came back, Moses asked him what God had commanded him. Prophet Muhammad said him and his followers had been commanded to pray 50 prayers per day. Moses said, "Go back and ask God to reduce the prayers, because your followers will not be able to pray that much in a day." Prophet Muhammad returned and asked God to reduce the prayers till God reduced it to 5 prayers per day, with their reward being equal to 50 prayers. Moses said, "Go back, because your people will not be able to pray even 5 a day." Prophet Muhammad replied, "I am too shy to ask for that." When Prophet Muhammad returned back to his home in Mecca, only a small amount of time had passed. He had literally traveled at the speed of light, and now his faith was as strong as ever. Life of Muhammad. 17. Planting seeds for the city of Yathrib. Your companion says he has been to Jerusalem and back in one night. Do you still believe in him? Said Abu Jahl. Abu Bakr replied. If he says it, then it is the truth. In fact, I believe in something even greater than that God speaks to him directly from the sky. The elite of Mecca now laughed even more at Prophet Muhammad. It was the month of Zulhijjah, the month of Hajj, where the Arabs from all over Arabia came to the Kaaba to pray to God, following the rituals of Abraham and Hajar. They would walk around the Kaaba like Abraham did and pray to God. And they would walk between the mountains of Safa and Marwa like Hajar did. But they mixed the rituals with idol worship. Prophet Muhammad now had to find safety in another part of Arabia to continue his message of serving the one God, so he began to approach the different Arab tribes, asking them for support. He asked the big tribes, and even the small ones, with the same amount of sincerity, while relying on God. A man called Rabi'a bin Abid, who later became a believer, explains this. I remember when I was a young child. A man, meaning the Prophet, came and spoke to my father, telling him to embrace the worship of Allah and to leave idolatry and to accept him into his tribe. I also saw an elderly man standing behind him, wearing a cloak, having 2 ponytails. When this young man finished and moved to the next tent, this elderly man came forward and said, "O people, do not give up the way of your forefathers." So Rabi'a says, I asked my father who these 2 men were. And he told me, the first man is the man claiming to be a prophet, and the elderly man is his uncle Abu Lahab, who will adopt me so that I may preach the message of Allah. Because the Quraysh have stopped me from doing this. The Prophet said. Most tribes rejected him because they thought he was crazy. If his own uncle rejects him, then he must be a troublemaker. They thought. Yathrib. Yathrib was a city, a 1-week camel journey away to the north from Mecca. The population of Yathrib was a mix of Arab idol-worshipping tribes and Jewish tribes. A major civil war had occurred in Yathrib while the Prophet was in Mecca. Many tribe elders had died, and the young people wanted a leader to unite the fighting tribes and give them purpose in life. The Jewish tribes had settled here in Arabia because they had read in their books that the last prophet would come to a city with palm trees between 2 volcanic rock mountains. He would speak whatever God said to him, and he would be victorious against his enemies. The Arab tribes in Yathrib were bigger in number, and they had more sons. Whenever they showed anger to the Jewish tribes, the Jews replied that they would soon be supported by a prophet of God who would destroy them. This threat made these Arab tribes feel inferior and afraid. If only they had support from such a promised messenger of God, they felt. The tribes of Yathrib come to Mecca for the Hajj pilgrimage. Who are you? Asked the Prophet. He had come with his close friend Abu Bakr. They were only 6 people sitting. One man said, "We are from the Khazraj tribe." So the Prophet asked, "Which Khazraj? Are you the neighbors of the Jews from Yathrib?" They said, "Yes." And then the Prophet said, "May I speak with you?" They said, "Yes." So the Prophet sat down and explained to them the teachings of Islam. He recited some Quran, explained to them about serving the one God of Abraham, and warned them against idol worship. All with the same passion, sincerity, and zeal as if he was speaking to one of the massive tribes, even though they were just 6 people without a tent. The Khazraj people consisted of farmers because the people of Yathrib were a farming and agricultural society who harvested date fruits. The Prophet was relying on God, giving a message to a few people who seemed insignificant. But some thoughts came into the minds of these men. The Jews had promised that a messenger of God was coming, that he would enter their city, and he would be victorious over his enemies. Could this man be the promised one? They promised Prophet Muhammad that they would meet him again the next year, in the same place. The Prophet agreed. This small event would change the course of world history. Life of Muhammad. 18. The Ansaar, helpers, convert. And if you turn away, God will replace you with another people. And they will not be like you. Quran 47:38. Now it was the 11th year since God's messenger, Muhammad, had called his people to serve the one God. The 6 men had returned back to Yathrib and started to discuss the message with their families and friends. Many people became interested and some decided to become Muslims. The next year, they sent a message to the Prophet, "We are coming for Hajj with 12 people, all of whom have converted." This was amazing as this was the largest group of people outside of Mecca to convert since the beginning of the Prophet's call. Never had 12 people converted from any group outside of Mecca. So in the 11th year of the prophetic call, 10 people from the Khazraj tribe and 2 people from the Aus tribe of Medina came together, ignoring their tribal differences, and they met with the Prophet in the plains of the Kaaba in Mecca. They pledged loyalty to the Prophet by putting their hands in his hand and making a promise. Ubadah bin Samit said, "And we promise to worship Allah, God alone, and not fornicate, steal, or kill our children. We will not live immoral and unrighteous lives. And we will obey the Prophet in all good matters." The Prophet said, "Whoever fulfills this oath, his reward will be with Allah, God. Whoever falls short and repents, God will forgive you." When these 12 converted to Islam, the Prophet chose a man from his tribe of Quraysh who had become Muslim, called Mus'ab bin Umar, to go back with them to teach them the Quran and prayer. Within a few weeks of Mus'ab reaching Yathrib, 40 people had converted to Islam. The numbers of believers in Yathrib was now growing. The spread of the message was so rapid that soon every household in Yathrib had at least one member who was a Muslim. All this while God's messenger and the believers still lived in Mecca in fear. The tribe leaders of Medina accept Islam. The leader of the Aus tribe was angry with Mus'ab's presence in Yathrib. "Why have you come to our land? To brainwash those of us who don't have strong intellect? To take our women and children away from our ways? To convert them to the ways of this new prophet of yours? Go back to where you came from if you value your life." Mus'ab responded with a calmness and confidence that only faith allows. He said, "Why don't you sit and listen to what I have to say? If you agree, that's good. If not, I will go." The leader of the Aus tribe found this to be a very reasonable request, so he sat down and listened to Mus'ab recite chapter 43 of the Quran. It was only after listening to the basic teachings, his heart opened up to Islam. He said, "What you have said makes complete sense to me. How does one embrace your faith?" After the leader of the Aus tribe became Muslim, the rest of the tribe followed him. So a huge amount of Medina, about 300 people, now became Muslims. The reason why so much could convert in Yathrib easily was due to less persecution and young open-minded people willing to accept a new message for positive change. These people promised that they would support God's messenger. So the next year, 75 of these believers would meet Prophet Muhammad in Mecca during the Hajj season, in secret. Ab bin Malik said, "When we went for Hajj, we hid our Islam from our pagan relatives. And we all agreed to meet at a particular place, the valley behind the Kaaba, in the last third of the night. And we snuck out of our tents at night time, one by one, so as not to arouse suspicion, among our elders, to meet with the Prophet. And we waited for him. And eventually he came with his uncle Abbas, even though Abbas was still upon the religion of his people. The Prophet praised God and then said, 'I shall give you the allegiance in return that you shall protect me like you protect one of your own.' A man from Yathrib called Bariah said, 'We are experienced in the arts of war. This is an easy condition. We will protect you, no one will touch you. Bring forward your hand, and we will give you the allegiance.' But another man said, 'O Messenger of God, we have alliances with the Jews in Medina which we know will have to be broken. Once you come over to our side and then God gives us victory, will you then leave us and go back to your people?' The Prophet replied, 'No. My blood is your blood, and my destruction is your destruction.' Meaning, we're gonna live together, we're gonna die together. They said, 'O Messenger of God, what is the phrase of the allegiance we should give to you?' The Prophet replied, 'You must give loyalty that you hear and you obey in times of difficulty and ease, and that you spend of your money in the way of God, and that you command the good and forbid the evil, and that you speak the truth no matter what the consequences, and that you help me once I come to Yathrib just like you help your own family.' Once he said this, a voice shouted out from amongst them, 'And what shall we get in return?' And the Prophet Muhammad said the one word they wanted to hear. He said, 'Jannah,' meaning, the gardens of paradise. Paradise will be yours. That's all they wanted to hear. And they all stood up and came forward to give their allegiance to God's messenger. God's messenger and the believers now had a new safe city to emigrate to. These people who promised to help them would be called the Ansaar, meaning, the helpers. Suddenly, everyone heard a loud scream of a devil in the distance. He shouted, "O people sleeping in the tents, do you not know that a group of rebels have gathered together with the man, Muhammad, who left your religion?" The prophet said, "This is a Satan jinn called Azab bin Yuzab, the leader of the devils of this valley of Aqaba. I promise by God, O enemy of God, I will deal with you." So the young Ansaar, helpers, rushed back to their tents before their elders found out about where they had just been. Life of Muhammad. 19. The escape. Muhammad, the most wanted man in Arabia. Begins. After the treaty with the Ansaar, helpers, of Yathrib, the prophet made an announcement to the Muslims of Mecca. He said, "God has shown me the land you shall emigrate to. It is a land of date palms between two volcanic mountains." This was the exact description of Yathrib. With this permission, many believers started to secretly leave Mecca by night and travel to Medina individually or in pairs. They could not go publicly, otherwise the elite of Quraysh would stop them and imprison them. Some believers went by themselves, leaving their wives and children in Mecca. They hoped to bring them to Medina in the future when tensions had calmed. They took the minimum amount of money they needed for their travels because it was difficult to escape quickly while carrying a lot of gold and silver coins. Their goal was to keep their faith and go to a land of safety. Prophet Muhammad, however, would be the last believer to leave Mecca. Quraysh plots to kill the prophet. The Quraysh elite had found out about the meeting of the prophet with the Ansaar helpers. They felt angry that Prophet Muhammad was now befriending outsiders who believed in his religion and promised to support him. The elite had a meeting together in Dar al-Nadwa. All this time they hadn't harmed the prophet because he was from their own tribe of Quraysh, and they felt it was embarrassing in front of other Arabs to kill someone from their own tribe. They were also afraid that the prophet's family would seek revenge. But now Prophet Muhammad's uncle Abu Talib had died. Muhammad had no tribal protection left. The Quraysh were perplexed on what to do. When a strange devilish-looking man with black clothes, unknown to them, entered. Usually they would never allow strangers to enter their secret meetings, but for some strange reason their hearts accepted his presence. He told them, "I am a leader from the Najd, allow me to come, perhaps I can benefit you about what you're planning to do." He told them that the best idea would be to send many young men of Quraysh with swords to surround the house of Muhammad and do a morning raid in which they will all kill Muhammad. So much people would have done the murderous act that Muhammad's family would not know who to seek revenge against. And this would be the end of all their troubles. The elite of Quraysh liked this idea and agreed to it. "And remember when those who disbelieved plotted to imprison you, O Muhammad, or kill you, or exile you. They planned together, and God too planned. And God is the best of planners." Quran 8:30. It was this night that the prophet walked out of his home. He was reciting the verse of God, "I have put a barrier in front of them and behind them, so I have covered them and they cannot see." Quran 36:9. The young men with swords surrounded his house, but they were completely blinded to his presence. The prophet went to his friend Abu Bakr's house, who had prepared 2 camels, and in the middle of the night they both left the city. Before leaving Mecca, the prophet remembered the words of Waraqah bin Nawfal on the first day of prophethood. "I wish I could support you when your tribe will expel you from this city." The prophet then said to Mecca, "You are the most blessed land on earth and the most beloved to me, and were it not for the fact my people had expelled me, I would not have left you." Then they set off to the cave of Thor. They would stay here for 3 days, and when their wanted level would fall, they would travel to Yathrib with a travel guide through a secret route. Their aim was to travel near the coastline of the desert and ocean, so their footprints would be washed away. The morning in Mecca. The young men of Quraysh surrounded the house of the prophet. They raided through the door and found Ali, the prophet's cousin, waking up from the bed. They were shocked. "Where is Muhammad?" they asked. But Ali did not tell them. The Quraysh elite sent men on the fastest camels to find the whereabouts of Muhammad and his friend Abu Bakr. Whoever brings Muhammad, dead or alive, will get 100 camels as a reward, which is around the value of $1 million today. Prophet Muhammad was the most wanted man in Arabia. Everyone was looking for him. They sent scouts and experts to find footprints of the camels. The scouts followed the traces coming from the house of Abu Bakr all the way to the cave of Thor. Now the cave was surrounded by the elite of Mecca. Abu Bakr looked out of a crack in the cave and saw all of their people. And he whispered to the prophet that all they need to do is look down and they'll see us, since the entrance of the cave was at feet level, below the ground. The prophet responded, "O Abu Bakr, what do you think of 2 people when God is the third with them?" And God made it so that they didn't look in the cave. So, the Quraysh passed the cave, and on the 3rd night the prophet and Abu Bakr met Abdullah bin Urayqiyat, and as planned, they journeyed on to the city of Yathrib. Life of Muhammad. 20. Medina, the new homeland. Yathrib. Those who believed and emigrated and struggled in the path of God, and those who gave them safety and helped them, those are the true believers, really. For them is forgiveness and a generous reward of paradise. Quran 8:74. Many believers from Mecca had now settled in Yathrib. The emigrants were given houses to stay in by the Ansaar, helpers. Now they were only waiting for the prophet to arrive. The book of Isaiah 42:11 in the Torah mentions about the arrival of the last prophet. Let the people of Selah sing for joy. The city of Yathrib had many mountains, one was called Jabal Salad, meaning the mountain of Selah. The Jews knew the last prophet was going to arrive here, this is why they were in a city in Arabia in the first place. But could they believe in him if he was a non-Jewish prophet? Every single day the Ansaar helpers would go outside the city towards Quba, waiting for the prophet to come. Every day they would go in the morning and wait until around 11 a.m. until the sun got too hot. One day they waited for him but went back to their houses as nothing happened. However, in the distance the prophet appeared, but there was no Ansaar helpers there. It so happened one of the Jews was on the top of a date tree plucking dates, so he was the first to see in the distance the prophet was coming. And out of the excitement of seeing the prophet, he shouted out, "O Arabs, your king has arrived." The Ansaar helpers rushed out of their houses in the hundreds. The Muslims, the pagans, the Jews, everyone came out to see who the promised one was and how he looked like. God's messenger Muhammad entered Yathrib on a Monday in the 14th year of the prophethood. This is known as the first year of the Hijrah, on the 12th of Rabi al-Awwal. A man from the Ansaar called Bara bin Azib says, "I saw the Ansaar helpers all dressed up and coming out. Over 500 men came outside, all of them armed and dressed to welcome the prophet. The women climbed up on the houses. The prophet was surrounded by hundreds of people all believing in him. For the first time, a new glimmer of hope was in the air. Pairing the believers and building a place for prayer. After settling in Yathrib, the first thing the prophet did was to pair the believers together. One immigrant would pair with one man from the Ansaar, making them loyal brothers to each other. Then they would work together to make a mosque, a place for prayer. This mosque was called Masjid al-Nabawi, the mosque of the prophet. This is where Prophet Muhammad would lead the 5 daily prayers from, and this is where he would rule all of the city from. He made a few small rooms next door to this mosque, and these rooms were his house which he lived in. The Treaty of Yathrib. Now the prophet had made a place of worship and political power. The next thing he would make is a treaty, explaining the relationship all the tribes in Yathrib will have with each other for the betterment of the new prophetic state. Here are some points in the treaty. The Muslims from the Quraysh and Yathrib and anywhere else are one nation, and this nation is in itself to the exclusion of the rest of mankind. It is a unique nation, all the Muslims will unite against anyone who does wrong, even if it's one of our own who does the wrong. The protection granted by the Muslims is the same, and even the lowliest of them can give protection and a safety visa to any outsider. The treaty also mentioned. All of these Jews are one nation, along with the believers. Meaning they have a type of status that is equivalent to a nation within Yathrib. And the prophet said, they shall take care of their own disputes, affairs, blood money, internal crime etc. Meaning. They would have the right to judge over their own people by their own laws. Unless they decide to seek judgment from the Muslim leadership or if a dispute is between both Muslims and Jews. In that case they would go to the main courts in Yathrib. The prophet further said in the treaty, between the two shall, Muslims and Jews, be mutual support against those who fight the people of this treaty. And the Jews will stand with the Muslims as long as they are being fought. Meaning. Whichever Jewish tribe signs this treaty, they are agreeing to be loyal and on the side of the prophet during any conflict against outsider enemies. Another clause is that if any Jew wishes to convert to Islam, he shall be helped and protected and nobody can harm him. The prophet also said in the treaty. Whatever disagreement occurs between the peoples of this treaty, which leads to internal arguments, shall be decided by God and his messenger. This means if there is a conflict between any two parties, the prophet himself will decide the final decision, like the Supreme Court. Changing the name of Yathrib to Medina and Tiba. Yathrib meant the land which is sick. People would say that when you enter Yathrib you get sick with a fever. The prophet did not like negativity and belief in superstition and bad luck, so he told the people not to call it Yathrib again, but to call it Medina tun Nabi, the city of the prophet. He also called it Tiba, the pure city. And he prayed to God for the diseases from the city to go away. Within the first year of the prophet's emigration, the ill and divided city of Yathrib had transformed into Medina. A pure city, with unity between the different tribes, a new central place for leadership and prayer from the prophetic mosque, a loyal brotherhood based on true faith between the emigrants and the Ansaar, helper, tribes. Life of Muhammad. 21. The day the two big armies met. Battle of Badr. Second year after emigration. Permission to fight has been given to those who are being fought because they were wronged. And indeed, Allah is able to give them victory. Those who have been evicted from their homes without right only because they say, our Lord is Allah, God. Quran 22:39. By now, the Quraysh elite had kept the houses and wealth of the Muslims who had fled to Medina. But they knew the Prophet would return to Mecca in the future. And so, they were planning of ways to stop the Prophet from becoming a strong player in the Arabian Peninsula. They had friends in Medina who gave them updates on the Prophet's activities. The Prophet also had spies in Mecca. Mecca and Medina were at war, and both sides knew it. His uncle Abbas would update him what the Quraysh was deciding in their secret meetings. The preemptive strike. Before the Quraysh could do anything, the Prophet himself decided to do a preemptive strike on the Quraysh. He would take back the wealth the Quraysh stole from the believers in Mecca by attacking Quraysh's trading routes. The Battle of al-Ashara. The first significant expedition, even though no blood was shed, was the Battle of al-Ashara. The Prophet took around 300 companions to attack the mother of all Quraysh caravans. This is the yearly caravan that Quraysh sent up to Syria. The same caravan Prophet Muhammad would trade in when he was just 25 years old. The caravan had to travel past northern Medina to get to Syria. It contained a lot of wealth. It had in it at least 80 camels, holding 75% of the wealth of Mecca. Anyone who had money would invest in this caravan. The leader of the caravan from Mecca was Abu Sufyan. The Prophet and his small army chased the caravan, but they missed it. Because one of Abu Sufyan's scouts had seen the army approaching from afar. So Abu Sufyan went onto another secret route. He sent an emergency message to the Quraysh leaders that Muhammad and his men were coming to attack their caravan. This made the Quraysh elite furious, and they prepared an army of 1,000 men to face the Prophet's army in a major battle called the Battle of Badr. Battle of Badr. The Quraysh set off with 1,000 men to a place called Badr. The Prophet heard of this, and he took his 300 lightly armed men there too. He did not back down because he knew this was destined for him. The two armies faced each other. The Quraysh soldiers were reluctant because they knew they would be facing their own tribe people, the Muslims from Quraysh, in battle. The believers, however, knew it was a battle of faith. The Prophet said to his followers, "Race to the forgiveness of your Maker and a garden of paradise which is as wide as the universe and earth, promised to those who believe in God and his messengers." Quran 57:21. The believers rushed to the Quraysh and fought fiercely against them. They killed all the elite leaders of Quraysh who had tortured God's messenger and the believers in Mecca. Most of Quraysh began to drop their armor and weapons and fled back to Mecca. Others were taken as prisoners. And the believers returned back to Medina with a huge morale boost. No one could believe that a small army of Muhammad had won the most powerful tribe in Arabia. This boosted the respect of Prophet Muhammad in the sight of the Arabs. He was now a major player to be contended with in Arabia. The Prophet did not boast about his victory. He praised God, and he knew this was not the end. Quraysh would return again the next year. The Battle of Uhud, third year after emigration. Quraysh had now lost its entire elite leadership. The people who would torture the believers had all been destroyed. Abu Sufyan was now the new leader of Mecca. The Quraysh wanted to regain its lost respect. So this time Abu Sufyan prepared 3,000 men who would march towards Medina. Prophet Muhammad was informed of this and prepared 1,000 men. Abu Sufyan wanted to destroy the pure city of Medina. So the Prophet set off with his men to a mountain near Medina called the Mountain of Uhud. He placed 50 archers on this mountain and told them to never move from it even if birds come down to eat the dead bodies of Muslims. He then lined the rest of the army in lines, like a conventional army. The Quraysh came running to the Prophet's army in big numbers. The Prophet said, "O Allah, God, we put you in front of us and we seek your protection from their evil." The Prophet himself rushed into the heat of battle. Ali, the cousin of the Prophet, was a brave man. He said, "We would hide behind the Prophet in the intense moments of battle." The believers repelled every attack of the Quraysh, but they gained many martyrs too. The Prophet promised that the martyr would go to paradise directly because he gave up his own life seeking the pleasure of God. So God will please him in return. A companion of Prophet Muhammad said, "When we fought them at Uhud they turned and fled. Until I saw with my own eyes the legs of the women running up the mountains, and I can see their ankle bracelets." Meaning, they were lifting their skirts above their ankles to run up the mountain. Even though the Muslims would never harm the Quraysh's women in battle. The men of Quraysh were dropping their weapons and fleeing. The women of Quraysh were also fleeing. The twist of fate. Some believers started to pick up the weapons dropped by Quraysh. It was a culture at that time for warriors to keep whatever wealth they collected in battle. The 50 men on the mountain saw the other Muslims collecting all these valuable weapons and they started to feel jealous. Will they keep all this wealth while we are stuck here on this mountain doing nothing? Some of them ran off the mountain to collect the weapons too. Others remained because the messenger of God commanded them to stay on the mountain until he himself told them to come down. The Prophet himself was involved in the battle, so much chaos was going on and he had to decide yet what to do, but the archers already had started running off the mountain. These archers were in the most strategic positioning within the battle and now they were running away from it without permission. A horseman from the Quraysh called Khalid bin al-Walid had 50 skilled horsemen behind him and was watching the chaos unfold. He saw his tribe of Quraysh fleeing, but he remained where he was. Suddenly he noticed the mountain of Uhud becoming empty from the skilled archers. This was his perfect opportunity. He raced ahead to the mountain and killed the remaining 10 archers, then he told the fleeing Quraysh army to come back to battle. they could win now. The Quraysh then returned back and re-attacked the Muslims. The believers were scattered everywhere and even the Prophet was attacked, his face was cut and he lost a tooth. He fell into a ditch. Someone shouted Muhammad has died. The believers were shocked. Some fled, others sat down, not knowing what to do, and others said, we will die for the same thing God's messenger died. They kept fighting till they too were martyred. When Prophet Muhammad woke up, his companions took him to a mountain and they took cover there. The Quraysh felt satisfied that they had got their revenge, so they did not climb the mountain to finish the believers off. It would be too difficult for them to battle on a mountain. So instead, Abu Sufyan said, is Muhammad alive? The believers replied, yes. Abu Sufyan said, this battle is a payback for our previous battle. We are now equal. Omar, a companion of Prophet Muhammad replied, no, our dead are in paradise, and your dead are in a fire. Life of Muhammad. 22. The Battle of the Trench and the Unseen Soldiers. 5th year after emigration. The Quraysh wanted to finish the Prophet and his followers once and for all. So they decided to make an alliance with many powerful warrior tribes like Ghatafan and even the Jewish tribe called Banu Qurayza in Medina. Their plan was to surround Medina from all sides and to do an all-out attack. Abu Sufyan for the first time in Arab history united many tribes and collected 10,000 men to surround Medina, which only had 3,000 men. God's messenger was informed of these plans, so he asked his companions what they thought should be done. A man called Salman the Persian had become a believer and emigrated to Medina. He told the Prophet that in Persia, they make huge trenches to stop a big army from coming into a city. This technique had never been done by Arabs before, but the Prophet liked the idea and decided they would dig trenches to slow down the advance of this huge army. The believers began to dig the trench from one side, while the city would be defended by the two volcanic mountains from its sides and from a huge forest of trees from behind. When the two armies met, the Quraysh and Ghatafan were shocked. How could they enter Medina if this trench was in the way? The trench was wide so not even horses could jump over it. On the other side, believers stood with spears to prevent the enemy from crossing. The Confederates of Quraysh and Ghatafan could not cross, so they decided to lay siege to Medina. So no food could enter into the city for a full month. The Muslims became tired and hungry and in a constant state of fear. They had not prepared for a siege. Remember when they came to you from above you and from below you. And when the eyes grew wild and the hearts reached the throats. And you started to think certain thoughts about God. There, the believers were tested with a severe and mighty shaking. Quran 33:11. Then a man from called Nu'aym bin Masud from the Ghatafan tribe came to the Prophet in the darkness of the night and said, faith was thrown into my heart tonight, command me what to do. So the Prophet told him to return back to his tribe and to do anything you can do to protect us. Anything. Nu'aym asked the Prophet, anything. War is tricks and deception. Replied God's messenger. So Nu'aym went to his tribe and thought what he could do. He knew there were three main players in this battle against the Prophet. So he decided to make all the players lose trust in each other. Nu'aym first went to the Jewish tribe in Medina and said to them, you know that the Quraysh and Ghatafan tribes can leave any time and you will remain in Medina. If you want them to remain on your side, you should ask them to give you some of their noble men as hostages. So they will not leave supporting you. The Jewish tribe was happy with his advice and they decided they would do this. Then Nu'aym went to the Quraysh tribe and told them the opposite. He said that the Jews in Medina regret betraying Muhammad and they have promised Muhammad they will sacrifice some men of Quraysh as a goodwill gesture to Muhammad to show their loyalty to him. So he said to Quraysh, never give your men to the Jews. Nu'aym said the same thing he said to Quraysh to his own tribe too. Do not give your men to the Jews in Medina. When the Quraysh elite went to the Jews in Medina for what they should do next in the battle, the Jewish tribe asked the Quraysh for some of its noble men as reassurance that the Quraysh does not leave them when the battle gets tough. The Quraysh got angry and said we will never give you hostages. The Quraysh then asked the Jews why they were not fighting. The Jews said it was a Saturday, the Sabbath, so they could not fight. This made the Quraysh and Ghatafan extremely frustrated. The night was cold and a strong wind kept blowing the food and cooking pots of the tribes away. Their fires would shut off repeatedly. And their tents would blow away. They could not enter into Medina due to the trenches. And their unity was divided. Abu Sufyan was extremely frustrated. Whoever wants to leave, they can do so, because I am leaving. His tribe left with him back to Mecca. The Ghatafan also left. And the Jewish tribe would have a bad fate for their treachery. O you who believe, remember God's favor on you. When there came to you huge armies, so I sent a cold wind and an army which you could not see. And Allah, God has always been watching what you do. Quran 33:9. After this battle, the Prophet said to his companions, after today, they will not raid us. But rather, we will raid them. Life of Muhammad. 23. The 10-year peace treaty of Hudaybiyah. One day, the Prophet told his companions, "I had a vision that I have gone to the Kaaba and I am performing the pilgrimage there." His companions were extremely happy and they all prepared to go to Mecca with the Prophet. They were still in a state of war with the Quraysh, but the Prophet was going to Mecca peacefully to visit the Kaaba built by their father Abraham. The Quraysh were just caretakers of the Kaaba, they had no right to stop people from performing the pilgrimage there. The Prophet and his companions wore the white cloths of Hajj and carried only light weaponry for travel. But when they reached Mecca, the Quraysh blocked them from entering. "You cannot enter this year," said the Quraysh. A man from Quraysh called Suhail bin Amr said, "You can only come here next year after we make a peace contract." The peace contract was called the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, named after the place where they signed the contract. The peace contract signaled that the Quraysh and the Muslims would have a 10-year peace contract, with both sides not fighting against each other for 10 years. The Prophet accepted this. The believers were angry, why were they not allowed to perform pilgrimage at God's holy Kaaba? The Prophet was sad too. But he replied, "Did I say we would perform it this year?" God revealed the chapter 48 of the Quran called the Great Victory. "No doubt I have given you, O Muhammad, the great victory." This peace contract would bring a huge change in the Arabian Peninsula. Now any tribe could be loyal to Medina without feeling afraid that the Quraysh would attack them. Medina was now an equal to the Quraysh and anyone could be loyal to it. Many tribes and people started to accept Islam publicly without fear. This was a great victory for the believers which they could never have achieved with military battles, but with simply signing a peace contract. This was the great victory. The contract stated that whoever wanted to be loyal to Medina could do so. And whoever wanted to be loyal to Mecca could do so. No one is permitted to attack the allies of the other. This clause would be really important in the near future. Prophet Muhammad begins to send letters to the kings of the world, 7th year after emigration. Now that he had peace in Arabia, God's messenger would share the call of serving the one God to the kings of the world. He would tell his companion what to write and sent his companions to go to the kings and deliver the letters by hand. This is the message he sent to the king of Persia. "In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. From Muhammad, the messenger of Allah, God. To Kisra, the king of Persia. Peace be upon him who follows true guidance, who believes in Allah and his messenger, and testifies that there is no God but Allah alone with no associate, and that Muhammad is his slave and messenger. I invite you to accept the religion and the call of Allah, God. I am the messenger of Allah sent to all people in order that I may infuse fear of Allah, God in every living person, and that the charge may be proved against those who reject the truth. Accept Islam as your religion so that you may live in security, otherwise, you will be responsible for all the sins of the Magians." Note. This letter was tough and mentioned fear of God because the Persians would worship the kings as gods. So a strong emphasis was placed on fearing the real God Allah and rejecting false gods. Now Kisra in Arabic was very arrogant and he mocked the letter, scoffed at it and tore up the letter in front of Abdullah bin Huzafa, who delivered it. When the news reached back to the Prophet said, "He tore up my letter. Allah, God will tear his kingdom up completely." Within a few days, Khosrow's own son did a coup, he arrested and killed his own father, Khosrow. After the Prophet's passing away, his companion Omar, the second caliph, conquered Persia in its entirety, and the Persian Sassanid Empire has never been revived after that till today. Life of Muhammad. 24. Letter from God's messenger to the Roman Emperor Caesar. The second most famous letter is that sent to Caesar, Heraclius, the emperor of the Roman Byzantine Empire. Abu Sufyan, the leader of Quraysh, narrates he was trading in Syria for Mecca when a caller came out and said, "You are being called to Jerusalem." The Romans ruled Jerusalem then. Abu Sufyan didn't know what is going on, but lo and behold, he was being called to the presence of the emperor himself. Caesar called his delegates, an Arab translator, and then posed questions to Abu Sufyan, who then was not yet a Muslim. And Abu Sufyan was there with his tribe members as well. So Heraclius asked all the Arabs present, "Who is the closest to you to this man claiming to be a prophet?" So Abu Sufyan said, "I am." So Heraclius said, "Sit in front of me." He said to Abu Sufyan, "I will ask you questions," and he said to Abu Sufyan's tribe members behind him, "If he lies, tell me." So Abu Sufyan was forced to tell the whole truth. He knew if he lied, someone would expose him. Abu Sufyan would later say, "I promise by God, had it not been that I would be accused as a liar, I would have lied." So Heraclius asked, "What is his family's status amongst you?" Abu Sufyan replied, "He belongs to a good, noble, family amongst us." Heraclius further asked, "Has anybody amongst you ever claimed the same, meaning, to be a prophet, before him?" Abu Sufyan replied, "No." He said, "Was anybody amongst his ancestors a king?" Abu Sufyan replied, "No." Heraclius asked, "Do the nobles or the poor follow him?" Abu Sufyan replied, it is the poor who follow him. Heraclius asked, are the numbers of his followers increasing or decreasing, day by day? Abu Sufyan replied, they are increasing. He then asked, does anybody amongst those who embrace his religion become displeased and renounce the religion afterwards? Abu Sufyan replied, no. Heraclius said, have you ever accused him of telling lies before his claim to be a prophet? Abu Sufyan replied, no. Heraclius said, does he break his promises? Abu Sufyan replied, no. We are at truce with him, but we do not know what he will do in it. And later when Abu Sufyan told this story to his tribe, he said, I could not find an opportunity to say anything against the prophet except this. Heraclius asked, have you ever had a war with him? Abu Sufyan replied, yes. Then he said, what was the outcome of the battles? Abu Sufyan replied, sometimes he was victorious and sometimes we. Heraclius said, what does he order you to do? Abu Sufyan said, he tells us to worship Allah, God alone, and not to worship anything along with him, and to renounce all that our ancestors had said. He orders us to pray, to speak the truth, to be chaste, and to keep good relations with our relatives. Heraclius then explained all of his questions. I asked you about his family, and your reply was that he belonged to a very noble family. In fact, all the messengers of God come from noble families amongst their respective peoples. I questioned you whether anybody else amongst you claimed such a thing, of prophethood. Your reply was in the negative. If the answer was in the affirmative, I would have thought that this man was following a trend, trying to be a prophet to be cool or famous. Then I asked you whether any one of his ancestors was a king. Your reply was in the negative, and if it had been in the affirmative, I would have thought that this man wanted to take back his ancestral kingdom. I further asked whether he was ever accused of telling lies before he said what he said, and your reply was in the negative. So I wondered how a person who does not lie about money, gold and silver, could ever tell a lie about Allah God himself. He continues, I then asked you whether the rich people followed him or the poor. You replied that it was the poor who followed him. And in fact, all the prophets have been followed by this very poor class of people. He continues, then I asked you whether his followers were increasing or decreasing. You replied that they were increasing, and in fact, this is the way of true faith, till it is complete in all respects. I further asked you whether there was anybody who, after embracing his religion, became displeased and discarded his religion. Your reply was in the negative, and in fact this is the sign of true faith when its delight enters the hearts and mixes with them completely. I asked you whether he had ever betrayed. You replied in the negative, and likewise the prophets of God never betray. Then I asked you what he ordered you to do. You replied that he ordered you to worship Allah, God alone, and not to worship anything along with him, and forbade you to worship idols, and ordered you to pray, to speak the truth, and to be chaste. If what you have said is true, he will very soon occupy this place underneath my feet, meaning Jerusalem, and I knew, from the scriptures, that the last prophet was going to appear, but I did not know that he would be from you, Arabs. If I could reach him, definitely I would go to meet him, and if I were with him, I would certainly wash his feet. Heraclius then asked for the letter of God's messenger to be passed to him. A companion of Prophet Muhammad called Dihya al-Kalbi had just delivered it. In the name of God, the Beneficent, the Merciful. From Muhammad son of Abdullah to Heraclius the Great of the Romans. Peace be upon him, he who follows the right path. Furthermore, I invite you to submit your will to God. Submit your will to God as a Muslim and you will be safe, and God will double your reward, and if you reject, you bear the sins of the peasants and the Christians. Abu Sufyan then went back to his tribe's men and said, the issue of Muhammad has become so prominent that even the king of the blonde-haired people, meaning Romans, is afraid of him. Then I started to become sure that he, meaning Prophet Muhammad, would be the conqueror in the near future. In fact, 5 years after the death of Prophet Muhammad, his companion Omar, who was the second caliph, had captured Jerusalem from the Roman Empire. Life of Muhammad. 25. The Quraysh break the Hudaybiyah peace treaty. The Hudaybiyah peace treaty between Mecca and Medina stated that any tribe could ally to Quraysh or Muhammad. And there would be peace between all of them, the cities and their allies. This meant that even if an ally of Quraysh harmed an ally of Muhammad, the peace treaty would be broken. And this is exactly what happened. Two tribes had made a peace contract with Medina and Mecca. A tribe called Banu Bakr had made a covenant with the Quraysh. A tribe called Qusayah had made a covenant with Prophet Muhammad. Both these tribes lived near Mecca. Banu Bakr were mainly pagans, and the Qusayah were mainly Muslims. Both these tribes had a hatred to each other and had blood feuds for hundreds of years. Some years ago, a man from Qusayah had killed someone from Banu Bakr. The Banu Bakr were seeking revenge, but they could not because the peace treaty was already made, so Banu Bakr were forced to swallow their rage. This was not easy for them, because the Hudaybiyah peace contract was not something they chose, and it was not in their favor. So the Banu Bakr decided to get revenge on Qusayah secretly anyway. But they knew they had a treaty. So they sent their noblemen to the Quraysh and said, look, we want revenge, but we've agreed to the treaty, can you give us permission for just one raid? If we steal any camels as booty, we will give you a share. Some elite of Quraysh like Suhail bin Amr and Safwan bin Umayyah agreed out of greed and even gave their ally Bank Bakr weapons. One of them said, don't worry, as long as you attack in the middle of the night, how will Muhammad find out? So the Quraysh knowingly accepted and approved and supported Banu Bakr with weapons. By doing this for quick money, the Quraysh were breaking the covenant. So in the middle of the night, armed with physical weapons, the Banu Bakr surprise attacked the Khuzayah at a small pond called Al-Watir. Banu Bakr expected that everyone would be asleep, that they would steal camels and kill a few people and then go back. But the entire operation failed. Someone noised the alarm, all the men got up, the women and children started screaming, everyone was awake, and the two tribes began fighting each other. And a mini massacre ensued. Typically in these raids, maybe one person is wounded or maybe one person dies. But 20 people including women and children were killed. The Banu Bakr had a hit list of the men they wanted to kill from Khuzayah. One of these men of Khuzayah fled and ran towards the Kaaba in Mecca. The man ran towards the Kaaba and said, "Oh man, I am near the sanctuary of the Kaaba, fear your God, fear your God." And the man from the Banu Bakr said, "There is no God today." And he went near the Kaaba and killed the Khuzai man. This was not part of Banu Bakr or Quraysh's plan. But this would expose their treachery to all the tribes of Arabia who had come to Mecca to visit the Kaaba. Immediately the chief of the Khuzayah tribe sent 40 men with an emergency letter to the Prophet in Medina. The letter was a call for help. The chief of Khuza'ah was called Amr bin Salam al-Khuzai, and he recited a beautiful one-page long poem. And in it he mentioned how him and the Prophet have a common ancestor, so the Prophet should support him against the treacherous Banu Bakr and treacherous Quraysh. The man said to the Prophet, "They killed us while we were bowing and prostrating, we tried to seek shelter, but they still killed us." The Prophet listened to him quietly. Then replied to him, "You will be helped." Now that the peace covenant was broken by the Quraysh themselves, the Prophet would prepare an army of 10,000 men who would march towards Mecca and cleanse it from the corruption of Quraysh and the filth of idols. Life of Muhammad. 26. The return to Mecca. 10 years after emigration. Certainly, you will enter the holy mosque in Mecca, if Allah wills, secure and safe. Quran 48:27. 10 years ago, Prophet Muhammad was leaving Mecca, sad and alone. Now he was returning with 10,000 strong men. In the Old Testament, Songs of Solomon 5:10, it mentions Muhammad by name, that he is the beloved of Prophet Solomon, and that he is the chief of 10,000 men. The Prophet went on his camel, and as he approached the city of Mecca, Abu Sufyan and the Prophet's uncle Abbas saw him from the distance. "The kingdom of your nephew has become great," said Abu Sufyan. Abbas said, "This is not kingdom, rather it is prophethood." Abu Sufyan, who had waged many wars against the Prophet, went with Abbas and asked for forgiveness. Abbas told Abu Sufyan should become Muslim because that will erase all his past evil deeds. So Abu Sufyan accepted Islam by saying to the Prophet, "I believe there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his servant and messenger." Then Abu Sufyan said, "What shall I tell my people in Mecca?" The Prophet told him to say, "Whoever goes to the house of Abu Sufyan, he is safe, whoever goes in his own house, he is safe, and whoever goes near the Kaaba mosque, he is safe." So Abu Sufyan rushed back to Mecca and told them this. The people of Mecca felt a bit at ease because they did not know what Prophet Muhammad would do to them after 20 years of torture. When the Prophet entered into Mecca, he bowed his head down on the neck of his camel, thanking Allah, God, for this great victory. When he entered the Kaaba, he and his companions broke the idol surrounding it. He then stood next to its door and asked the people, "What do you think I am going to do to you all?" The people replied, "You are our brother, the son of our brother," meaning, "We are your relatives, please don't harm us, do not punish us, do not enslave us, even though we did that to you and your followers." The Prophet replied, "Go. You are all free. May Allah forgive you all." This kindness and love made all of the people become Muslim and his strongest supporters. God's messenger, Muhammad, would give the most powerful speech in the city of Mecca during the Hajj pilgrimage in front of 100,000 people. The final sermon of God's messenger, Muhammad. After praising and thanking Allah, he said, "O people, lend me an attentive ear, for I know not whether after this year I shall ever be amongst you again. Therefore listen to what I am saying to you very carefully and take these words to those who could not be present here today. O people, just as you regard this month, this day, this city as sacred, so regard the life and property of every Muslim as a sacred trust. Return the goods entrusted to you to their rightful owners. Hurt no one so that no one may hurt you. Remember that you will indeed meet your Lord and that he will indeed count your deeds. Allah, God has forbidden you to take usury, interest, in your business transactions, therefore all interest obligation shall from now be waived. Your capital, however, is yours to keep. You will neither inflict nor suffer any injustice. Allah, God has judged that there shall be no interest usury. Beware of Satan, for the safety of your religion. He has lost all hope that he will ever be able to lead you astray in big things, so beware of following him in small things. O people, it is true that you have certain rights with regard to your women, but they also have rights over you. Remember that you have taken them as your wives only under Allah's trust and with his permission. If they abide by your right, then to them belongs the right to be fed and clothed in kindness. Do treat your women well and be kind to them, for they are your partners and committed helpers. And it is your right that they do not make friends with anyone of whom you do not approve, as well as never to be unchaste. O people, listen to me closely, worship Allah, say your 5 daily prayers, fast during the month of Ramadan, and give your wealth of zakat in charity every year. Perform Hajj if you can afford to. All mankind is from Adam and Eve. An Arab has no superiority over a non-Arab, nor a non-Arab has any superiority over an Arab. Also a white has no superiority over black, nor a black has any superiority over white, except by piety and good actions. Learn that every Muslim is a brother to every Muslim, and that the Muslims constitute one brotherhood. Nothing shall be legitimate to a Muslim which belongs to a fellow Muslim, unless it was given freely and willingly. Do not, therefore, do injustice to yourselves. Remember, one day you will stand in front of Allah, God, and answer for your deeds. So beware, do not stray from the path of righteousness after I am gone. O people, no prophet will come after me, and no new faith will be born. So use your intellect well, O people, and understand words which I convey to you. I leave behind me 2 things, the Quran and my example, the Sunnah. And if you follow these you will never go lost. All those who listen to me shall pass on my words to others and those to others again, and may the last ones understand my words better than those who listen to me directly. Be my witness, O Allah, O God, that I have conveyed your message to your people. Then God sent down one of the last Quran verses, Today have I perfected your religion for you, completed my favor upon you, and have chosen for you Islam as your religion. Quran 5:3.